Once we got our data into Databricks, the next step would be to clean our data. Data cleaning is a crucial step in every data workflow, but why is it important? If the quality of the data is low, for example, there is a lot of duplicates or missing data, or the data is just inconsistent, and if you try to train a model on a dataset that is not very high quality, then you risk to get an inaccurate predictions or responses. That's why it is so important. So now let's see how we can improve the quality of our dataset using Databricks and Spark. So we are going to continue working in our notebook, the same one we worked in the previous video. We already have a few cells here, and we stopped here at the cell where we downloaded our data and displayed it. And I'm going just to display it in a bit different way. Instead of data frame.show, I'm going to use display data frame, and it will give us a bit nicer visualization of our data. So it's gonna display our data in this nice table, and we are going to start with converting data types. And if you look at this data set, then you will see that our display price is a string. This is not ideal because price should be a number if you want, for example, to get some insights from this data. And it's very hard to get anything from a price that is string. So the first thing we are going to do is to convert our display price into number. So let's create another cell and let's import a few functions there. So from the PySpark SQL functions, we're going to import two useful functions: regexp, replace, and call. And then we are going to fix our price. So first let's reassign our data frame with column, and here we tell it that we are going to fix display price column. First we are going to find all the occurrences of our symbols that we don't want to be in the price. It is this British pound sign and the comma. And then you can see AI suggests us to use this regexp replace function that we just imported before and the call function. So call function selects the column, and regexp replace is replacing the pound icon, pound symbol, with the empty string. But I want to replace not just British pound, but also this comma, and I will change this regex a little bit to tell that I want to replace all these symbols. And now if we display our data frame, you can see the difference. Now our price is just plain number without any extra symbols, but it is still a string, and we can easily fix it using the cast method, and we just call it here. We just tell it we want to cast this type to double, and let's run this cell again, and you can see now it is a right type. I think everything else is fine here in terms of the data types. So we are going to move on to the next cell and see what else we can improve. And if you remember last time when we downloaded the data, we had actually two data sets here in our properties Kaggle. So there is a price history and properties main. So I'm going to import a properties main as well because it has different data, and it would be easier to show the things I want to do on that second data set. So let's import it and let's see which data we have. And you can see that here we have the property data itself. A previous dataset contains all the cells of the properties, and this one has some more data about these properties itself. Let's see what we can improve here. And you already can see that we have some nulls here. It means that some data is missing. We have few options. First, we could replace this missing data with some other data, for example, zeros or unknown. Or if it doesn't make sense to replace it, we can just drop the rows that have missing data or columns. In this data sample, almost all the properties have missing data in this property subtype column, so maybe we could just get rid of this column. Let's rename this data frame. Let's call it df2. And so here, first we can try to find all the columns that have a lot of missing data, like this property subtype, for example. And then we can just drop these columns. Let's create a new variable, parse columns, create an array, and in this array we are going to write a little loop, and again it is suggesting us something, and we'll delete this bit because we don't care about this, and it's gonna be an if statement. So if df2 So if the column is null and the count is bigger than let's say if it's more than 70% of the data, then we want to tell this is the columns that we want to delete, and we can print them. So let's see which columns have more than 70% of empty data. That could be 50% as well, whatever threshold you prefer. In this case, I see that it says property subtype. We can change it to 0.5, see which columns have more than a half empty data, just in case. So yeah, bedrooms and bathrooms have like more than a half of these columns are empty, but I don't want to delete them because I think that's pretty important data, even though we have quite a lot of missing pieces there. So I'm going to get back to this threshold, and then I'm going just to drop these columns, and it's again I'm reassigning the data frame, and AI suggests me some crap again. But yeah, this is the right suggestion. So data frame number 2, drop sparse columns, and let's then display it. And you can see we do not have this property subtype anymore. You can also see that some of the properties, they have null in this property type. So we don't know if it is a flat or a terraced house or semi-detached house. And this is a really important characteristic, so we probably don't want to have rows that missing it. And what we can do, we can just drop these rows that missing this data. So let's do that. df2 is equal df2 then drop NA, means you're gonna drop all the rows that have nullish value here, and then we tell subset, and it's gonna be property type. And because this is an array, you can also pass here multiple columns. For example, you want to drop all the houses that have nulls as bedrooms and bathrooms as well, and I think that makes sense because it is very hard to, let's say, build a model that will predict the price of the property if you don't know how many bathrooms or bedrooms the property has. So let's drop them as well, and let's then see what's left. And yeah, now you can see our data set has a lot less of nulls. Looks much better, isn't it? And another thing we could do, instead of dropping the rows with the empty values, we could just fill these values with something else. So let's go one step back. Let's again get our data frame, and let's look at the tenor column. So we have some nulls here, but let's say we don't want to drop the entire row because of it, because this property is important, it's good to know, but it's not that important when you define the price. So let's just fill it with unknown instead of null, and let's do the same thing. We're going to call this fill NA, and then here we are going to pass name of the column, tenor, and we will say that we want to fill it in with unknown. And yes, of course, let's again display our data frame. You can see that instead of the nulls, we have this nice string that says unknown. So what else could we improve? If we go back to our price history dataset, the first one that we imported here, we may see some rows are duplicated because this dataset contains all the sales for the properties, and some properties can have multiple sales. Let's say someone bought it and then after 1 year sold it. And what if we care only about the last sale? We don't care about all previous ones, because it could mess up our data, our prediction model, if we, let's say, want to predict the property prices. So now let's get rid of these duplicates. Again, I will create a new cell. And first I want to reorder our table to have the most recent sales first. So let's do it. I'm going to reorder it. I'm going to take the initial data frame and use order by method, and I'm going to use a did date, not the property ID, no, did date, the column where there is supposed to be a date when the property ownership has changed. So I'm going to make it descending. I also need to import the call utility from PySpark functions, and yeah, we reordered it. Let's also display it. It starts now 2025, and now we can drop our duplicates. That's gonna be very easy. Let's call it deduped. We just need to use the reordered, and we are going to drop duplicates, to call this drop duplicates, and use the property ID. And that's it. Our data now is deduped, and we can even compare if we do, for example, here, if we do print df count, I think it is count. So it was 51,276 rows. Here, if we do the same for data frame deduped, you can see it is a lot less now, because we removed all the transactions that are not the latest ones. And another thing we usually fix during the data cleaning process is data inconsistency. For example, if we would have a column with a city here, a separate column, and the cities would be named differently, for example, if it would be like London or LND, and we would like to have it all unified, for example, only London. But because we don't really have such example in these data sets, yeah, we have the address here in the second one, and we could, for example, try to unify something here, but I think it all looks pretty good anyway. But instead of unifying one column, we could improve our property ID column, because the logic would be almost the same. So let's do that. Let's fix our property ID column. And what exactly I want to fix here? You can see that this property ID is a bit weird. It consists of some numbers, then this pipe symbol, then some like address or whatever. And in some of them we also have commas as well, I think. And what I want to do, I want to remove these commas, spaces, and the pipe symbols and replace it with the underscore. So let's do it. Again, I'm going to import these functions, the regex replace, and also instead of call I will import lower to transform this to the lowercase. I don't like it to be uppercase, to be honest. And then again our data frame 2, yes, let's do it on data frame 2, it doesn't matter anyway. I'm going to open the brackets, and here we are going to make multiple transformations. So on property ID we are going to call this regex replace, and inside, and yeah, we are missing the bracket here. So inside of this regex replace we want to call lower, just to lowercase everything, and then we add here data frame property ID, and now we will pass the regular expression, the actual regular expression we want to replace with the underscore. So that would be few different symbols. So we open these square brackets, and then it's gonna be this pipe symbol, comma, and space, and the space we say as backslash, backward slash, and s. Then next, if we do just for the records, if we do the, we don't need to drop duplicates, yeah, and let's remove these spaces as well. And now let's run it, and you can see that now our property ID looks a little bit better, but still it has this trailing underscore. I would like to remove this trailing underscore, and to remove that we are going to use another regex. We are going to use a regular expression again, and let's just copy it for now. And we don't need this lower, we only need the property ID. And here we are going to say we want to replace underscore that is at the end of the page, and this will be our regular expression. Oh yeah, and I forgot to delete the underscore from here, so it didn't really replace anything. I mean, it replaced one underscore with another. So now let's run it again. Yeah, and now our data IDs, our property IDs look much cleaner. So that's our data, looks much better now. So that's it. That's our data cleaning for beginners in Databricks. Yeah. And if you found it useful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more videos.